Reading apps are not teaching your child to read the way you think they are. And I say that as a mom who used them for years. They can help, but they cannot replace the one thing your child really needs. And by the end of this video, you're going to know exactly what that is. As parents today, we have access to more tools than ever. There are apps for phonics, apps for sight words, apps that turn reading into games. And honestly, some of them are really well done, and I'm not here to tell you to throw them all away. But here's what I've learned, having been through this stage with 3 kids. You cannot rely on apps alone to teach your child to read. And a lot of parents don't realize that until they're sitting in a kindergarten teacher's conference, wondering why their child isn't progressing the way they expected. Let's talk about where apps can help, where they fall short, and what actually matters most. The reality we're living in. Most young children today, especially ages 2 to 5, are getting around 2 to 3 hours of screen time a day. And a lot of that gets justified as learning time. Content like Miss Rachel has become a daily staple in so many homes, mine included at times in the past, because it feels educational. And some of it genuinely is. I'm not knocking it. But here's what the research actually shows. Children learn language best through real human interaction, not passive screen time. Studies have found that when screen time is higher, it can be linked to weaker vocabulary development and even challenges with attention and focus. So this isn't just about how much screen time, it's about what it's replacing, where apps can actually help. To be fair, research does show that certain apps can support phonics, vocabulary, and early literacy skills, and there are some well-designed ones out there. We had a subscription to ABC Mouse for 8 years in our house. My kids had screen time, so I'm not here to make you feel guilty for using these tools. I use them too. But here's where we need to be careful. This is where apps fall short. Most apps labeled educational aren't actually designed with strong reading instruction behind them. Experts have found that many apps lack the structure needed to teach foundational reading skills like phonics and blending. Some even mispronounce sounds, focus more on entertainment than learning, or just have kids tapping and guessing instead of actually reading. And here's the biggest issue I personally ran into with something like ABC Mouse. Apps don't give meaningful feedback in the moment. My kids figured out pretty quickly that if they just clicked everything on the screen fast enough, it would move them on to the next level. They weren't learning. They were gaming the system. And I had no idea until I sat down and I actually watched them do it. The app couldn't tell if they were actually getting it. And that is critical when a child is learning to read. What apps can't do, but you can. This is the most important part. Apps cannot respond to your child emotionally in real time. Notice when they're confused or quietly frustrated. Slow down exactly, when your child needs a moment, or celebrate a breakthrough in a way that actually lands in your child's heart. And reading is not just a technical skill. It's confidence, it's connection, it's encouragement. Researchers talk about something called serve and return interaction, that back and forth between a parent and child. One of you does something, the other responds. That's what actually builds the brain for language and reading. An app will never replicate that. And I remember sitting with my oldest and watching him go from frustrated and ready to quit to suddenly sounding out a whole word all by himself. The app didn't get to see that. I did. And that moment, the way his face changed, the pride that came over him, is what shifted how he felt about reading entirely. An app cannot give your child that. The bottom line, apps can be an aid, but they should never be the foundation. You are the foundation. You are the one who builds confidence, guides them through the hard moments, and makes reading feel safe and exciting. That's not something you can outsource to a screen. So I don't want you to hit kindergarten registration and realize there were simple things you could have been doing all along that you just didn't know about. That's why I created the Reading Ladder, a free guide that shows you exactly which books to read with your child right now based on where they are developmentally. It takes the guessing out of it completely. So download it free, link is below, and start tonight. And if you're ready to go beyond the book list and actually start teaching your child to read step by step, which is so exciting, I have a 5-day Reading Jumpstart challenge. It's just $27. It takes only 10 minutes a day and gives you the exact roadmap I used with all 3 of my boys. So that link is below too. Because you, not an app, are the most important teacher your child will ever have.